Welcome to Times Media and the St. Cloud Times Editorial Board endorsement interviews for the 2008 elections. The editorial board is the voice behind the Times Review, which appears daily on the opinion page and website. Board members are conducting this and other interviews involving races and issues on your 2008 Election Day ballot. Board members are Times Media Publisher and President Bill Albrecht, Executive Editor John Bodette, Opinion Page Editor Randy Krebs, Community Representative Dory Larison, and Times Building Manager Mark Hessler. The board has neither say nor involvement in directing Times news coverage. Similarly, Times reporters are not involved in this endorsement process.
All right, we'll move to our next question with Larry starting. What's your position regarding the appointment and election of Minnesota judges?
I am very happy with the system that we have now, and I think that having people tie into electing of our judges is just a fine system. It is a very complex, and we're getting input from both sides of the aisle on this, and I really have not finalized a position, but I'm going to be listening to the debates.
So you don't have a position at this point, is that?
I do not.
But you said earlier you support what we do now.
I do support what we have now.
I'm confused. It's a tough issue, I'll give you that. What we do now has been dramatically changed.
Yes.
So when you say you support what we do now, do you mean you support it since those changes were made?
I support it since those changes have been made.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Joanne?
Well, this is something that I'm ready to be educated on. We currently elect our judges, and I think that I have concerns as we've started to advertise as judges are elected that they run for office, and I've seen some advertisements for them, and I'm concerned about the neutrality of our judges when that happens. At the same time, of course, there's always concerns about neutrality of judges when they're appointed. So what we are hoping for in the long run is the system that most reflects the law in a fair and impartial way. So at this point, I need to be talking to more groups about that, and if I'm elected to the legislature, I will be, but I have not talked to them at this point.
Steve?
I do like what we're doing now, and let me be very clear. Proposals for partisan judge elections are absolutely inappropriate. Partisanizing judicial elections is absolutely anathema to what we're expecting of our judges, and that's impartiality. Now, having said that, I have talked to a number of people at their door fronts when I've asked about this issue who say, well, you know what, I go into the voting booth and I see these names, I have no idea who they are, I have no idea what they've done, I don't know whether they're a good judge or a bad judge. In a lot of cases, it's just the incumbent, or the incumbent is identified, and they vote for those. So the election process itself seems to be a bit neutered. I would favor some approaches that would allow us to see some sort of performance review, if you will, or some indication of how well the judge is doing objectively in the performance of his or her duty. I think some information to the voters about how the judges are doing objectively would be helpful if people are going to be asked to elect their judges. I mean, right now they're going into the voting booth with next to no information about these people and then being asked to make an informed decision. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But I do not believe in partisan judge elections. That's absolutely wrong.
Okay. Joshua?
This is an area that has become very much discussed over especially the last year or so, and I've heard from judges who actually are on both sides of it. I feel very strongly that we should have election of our judges. I think there needs to be more transparency so we can see what the judges have done. I have no problem with a judge putting out a campaign piece telling you their background. I like to know who I'm voting for. Right now, somebody who's got a name of Sven or Ole walks in, on the ballot is going to have an advantage over some other person because people recognize the name, and that's not right. We need to make sure that there is transparency. We can see what the incumbents have done, but also the challengers. So if the challengers are out there campaigning, I think that's a very important piece to be able to bring forward kind of what their views are so people can make an educated decision. That being said, I agree with Steve 100% that I don't want this to turn into a partisan race. Judges are meant to be impartial, they have to be impartial, and I think it's their the constitutional responsibility to be impartial. I used to observe a lot of courtrooms and stuff when I was younger. My mom worked in the court system, and I got to watch a lot of different judges and stuff, and they all have different styles of how they do it. But I have not heard a judge that is adamantly in favor of having a Republican or Democratic name behind them. There are a few out there, but I've not spoken to one, and I can't understand how that is going to help them stay impartial by having that endorsement behind them. So I believe in the election of our judges. I believe that it should not be a partisan race, and there needs to be transparency with the judges we currently have elected.